Research Queensland, which is a Brisbane UFO research group and host of this conference, I welcome you all, especially interstate and overseas visitors. There has not been a national conference of this kind for many years in Australia, and we couldn't think of a better way to celebrate the 40th anniversary of our organisation than to have a conference where we can bring everyone together. The main objectives are to disseminate to the public what the latest developments are in Australian UFO research field, and to bring national researchers together to incorporate their work, to further UFO research, and to bring the UFO subject to the attention of the media, so that this enigmatic subject can be brought to the true light of the people which it so deserves. UFO sightings have been on the increase in southeast Queensland for the last 4 years, with the last 3 years averaging about 500 per year. And last year it topped out at 800, and we were very, very busy. Compared to the previous years, when we averaged about 100 per year, so you can see there's been a tremendous increase in sightings. Some of this can be attributed to the increase of UFO programs being shown on TV and at the picture theatres now. And I suppose that little Life on Mars thing helped us quite a bit. But it's if this is so, it means that there must be a lot of people out there that have sighted UFOs that just never come forward. Not that there are more sightings actually happening at the moment, but rather that there are more people coming forward with their stories. There will be many topics covered at this conference, and you will hear some encounters that will seem incredulous. But for those of us who have been involved with UFO research for a few years now, this information has become a way of life. And for many of us, we have almost become desensitised by UFO information to the point of having had a bad case of cosmic indigestion. It is no wonder that when UFO enthusiasts leave a meeting or finish reading the latest UFO book, that we see the world through a completely different point of view to mainstream society. In fact, if you like, a cosmic view, which allows us to ask questions about mankind's place in the universe and how we can share that universe with other inhabitants in a constructive and a peaceful way. By looking at questions like this, humanity is required to look at itself and the life we live on this small planet here on Earth. One of the most commonly asked questions about UFOs is, why don't they make open contact? Well, it's obvious that humans have difficulty tolerating each other, let alone extraterrestrials. So they are probably being very, very wise in that choice. Maybe when we get it right on this planet, we can reclaim our birthright and become the space dwellers and interdimensional travellers that we should have been by now. Until then, the inner terrestrial within us can only speculate and contemplate what life amongst the stars will be like for mankind in the future. We hope that speakers and the audience alike are able to take away from this conference valuable information which encourages researchers in their work and in general public to speak about what they have learned by others. In particular, we hope people in general acquire a greater depth of understanding for all of those implications for mankind of extraterrestrials visiting our planet Earth. Just before I do introduce the speakers, there is one apology for today. Cheryl DeMckellis, our chairperson, has been very well lately and she can't make it to the conference. She wishes she's here. She's here in spirit, she said, and she wishes everyone all the best and hope everyone has a great time. Talking about the media and what's been happening with UFOs lately, for years I've always dreamed of a particular headline in the newspapers. You see it in those 1950s black and white movies, and as soon as I saw it, I had to get it laminated. The evidence, life on Mars. How many times have we seen that in those science fiction movies? And then, of course, they come and destroy us, but I think it might be different this time. You know, we're 30,000-year-old and all that, they must be a bit slow by now. But life on Mars. This I'll hang up and keep it in my room, and maybe in 100 years when we're actually communicating with other beings, I can look back at this and laugh and say, wait, and it's cost them about $40 billion to come up with this. It only cost them 40 cents to ring me up and tell them that life exists on other planets, but no, that's the way they want to do it. Okay, thank you. On your programs you'll notice discussion sessions throughout the conference time. Now, we have discussion papers. There are some speakers that, or people that couldn't make it here, so they sent in their papers, and there'll be various people talking about their own points of view and experiences. These discussion papers are available outside for $13.50, and it's got approximately 100 pages. And if you'd like to peruse it, when we have a discussion period, it's where we'd like to have everybody involved. And it might be an idea if you pick one up, you can look through it and pick a subject, and when it comes up for discussion, be actively involved in it. Okay, I'm going to try to make my presence up here very minimal during this conference. There are some very good speakers here. They've all come from far away, out of the goodness of their own hearts, to share their information that they've gathered throughout their years. I've only been experiencing this for a few years, so I know nothing about the subject, you can say. So we'll let these speakers share their experience with you. Now, the first speaker that we have here today is Mr. John Auchettl. He was born in 1955 in New Guinea into a medical family. He left Papua New Guinea in 1970 to take up university studies, an army life and a career in aviation. His education qualifications include physics, electronics, computer science and aviation. He is currently a commercial pilot working in the aviation industry. He enjoys science, art, politics and strange phenomena, which he has researched for over 20 years. He has been editor and librarian for the Victorian UFO Research Society. At present, he is the Director of Research at Phenomena Research Australia, that's PRA, and was founded in 1969. It is not a society, but a research collective. It researches all UFO, crop circles and strange phenomena, and PRA gets over 800 calls a year, 1,100 letters per year. They do field and photo, video analysis, and run reports and database computers. It's good to actually do hands-on work. It reports numerous articles and reports to various scientific books, newspapers, journals and periodicals, with a number of Australian and overseas TV productions. So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Auchettl.
Thank you very much. The format today, I'd like to keep it very simple and very formal in a sense, rather than be bogging down with science. But I'd like to first open by saying good morning to you all. It's pretty early, and we've got a big program ahead for the future. Also, thanks to Tino for the introduction. And as you know, my name is John Auchettl. You can call me John. The Auchettl's a bit difficult to remember. From Phenomena Research Australia. First off, I'd like to thank Cheryl, who's not available today, and Martin for all his work in getting me here, and the committee of UFO Research Queensland. Thank you for the chance to address you all today. It's a great privilege. And also I'd like to wish the Society a happy 40th birthday, because it's one of the oldest societies in the world, and it's a great credit to us that we're still going strong at this time after all the hassles that you can get involved with. I'd also like to just indicate to you this, what I'm going to present to you today is a summary. It's going to be a visual summary for you, rather than what I like you can read about the details in a paper, which it's not produced at this moment due to a technical problem. However, later on you might like to purchase the papers that I'll present over the next 2 days, and then you can get some more details and references from them. I suggest that you should reference information, don't take my word for it. I lie a lot, so it's better for you to go and find out more about it. People lie to me, so the best process is to investigate. Don't take anybody's word for it, especially mine. Anyway, I'll get straight into the subject. First, I'd like to apologise for the technology available today. I was going to use an overhead projector, which is far clearer. The focus on the CCD is not very good, but bear with me. If you have any problems, just please stop me in the midstream. I'm happy to, if you can't hear me, you've got any problems, understand something, just put your hand up or shout at me. I'm happy to stop straight away. The first thing I'd like to start with is in the 20 years that I've been involved with it, I've investigated many great encounters, and this is the one I'm going to present today, just one of them. And the reason why I've selected this one is because of the credibility of the witnesses. And one of the problems we face as researchers is that when we are confronted by skeptics, is that they always say that there's usually somebody out in the back of Burke who hasn't got an education and is not able to, put 2 words together and sees a UFO, consequently they don't exist. But however, the reality is there's plenty of data available in regards to pilots, rocket scientists and housewives and everybody. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that one of the excuses against UFOs is that the information provided is of poor quality, but that's not correct. And in this case, it's very good quality, and the reason for this is because it takes our Victorian Police Force, which I believe is supposed to be one of the most uncorrupt police forces in Australia, well at the moment anyway, So I'm using their wheels to prove that the case that UFOs do exist, and at least they all believe it anyway. So first I'd open the fact that the Melton police encounter, that's the title of the paper, occurred on the 22nd of July 1983. It was a Wednesday. It's a bit long in the tooth now, it's 13 years ago, but that won't make a difference to the case itself. You should find it quite interesting. It opened quite interestingly that we had a pre-warning. A gentleman called Pat Gildales with Victorian UFO Research Society at that stage as a researcher. The senior researcher at that point was Mr. Paul Norman, and Paul's well known around the world. However, he wasn't available, he was down at his farm at Timber down on the coast of Victoria. So Pat Gilday rang me up to say that a lady called in the day before, on the 21st, 10 hours before, claiming that she saw a UFO that night, before the incident occurred. And she indicated to Pat that we had an answering machine at that stage, that she'd call back later on in the day. Would the research like to come out. Pat tried to get Paul wasn't available, so Pat rang me, and I said yes, no trouble at all. So it was preempted, this encounter, which is not rare, but it's a good indication there was something going on at that stage, and we weren't. It was starting to boil over at that stage. We didn't pay much attention as Norman's researchers because we were too busy at the moment. So about 12:30 p.m, the television radio burst into life as normal. There's something going on. Crews were all over the place looking for comment and out at Melton and speaking to the police officers out there. Our research, I rang Pat Gilday and started the process. Pat said go ahead with it, and about 11 a.m. on the 25th, which is a bit late actually, but these things take time to generate. First we have to confirm that something's going on and also get it all work. We don't do this full time, so it was the Saturday that I got involved with it. I made a beeline out to the police station and got involved with the research. The interesting case about this encounter is that the amount of witnesses that were from the police force, and there's two divisional vans involved, and in the analysis of the final analysis of the people that who came out of the research, there was 13 very good witnesses. 13, which is quite a rare occasion. However, I interviewed over something like 43 other witnesses with varying accounts of the day. We usually get a response later on when we put ads in the paper. People will follow the story and say they see something. But however, there's about 13 very good people that saw this. They included a detective, four constables, a duty sergeant, a chief inspector, an inspector, and another 3 constables from another divisional area, and also a Melton security officer who was driving around checking the security of premises. He was also a very good witness too. So you can see straight away we've got a very good, credible base of people that started to encounter all. The encounter, there was 3 sections to the encounter, well actually 4 sections of the encounter. Originally there was the opening of the encounter, the first sighting. There was a chase involved, then a second sighting, and then the closure of the encounter, and then the follow-up later on the investigation where we really got into some depth in it. I'll open with the investigation, the first encounter. The two police officers were involved who started the whole ball rolling were Officers Ellis and Ferguson. They were on mobile patrol out of Melton, driving around normally, usually just looking for something to do at night, late at night. It was 12:30 in the morning, just after midnight, and they witnessed a light over the township of Melton, which is not very large, but big enough to require a divvy van to operate at night. They drove into Melton to see what the light was, and they noticed that there was, over the shopping centre, they've got one major complex there. They noticed an object that was about 60 metres up above the shopping centre, with 2 very large lights hovering, which is the first important feature to this. So they drove up to the shopping centre. They have on the side of the divvy vans in Melbourne, they have a spotlight, just so presumably in Brisbane also. They shone a spotlight up to the UFO, and as soon as the light touched the UFO, it went. And it didn't just, like a balloon, just chug off it. Actually evaded the actual light beam itself. So they tried to follow it in the process of trying to identify it. This sudden motion alerted them there's something unusual going on, because living in that area, there's a lot of airports. We've got Tullamarine, all the Air Force bases are there. Fogarty Field, there's quite a number of major aviation areas there, and they're quite aware of the aircraft movements. And also what we call it in the aviation industry, a light aircraft entry lane exists right over Melton, where the light aircraft have to follow the corridors so they don't move into controlled airspace. What they did, they commenced a chase with the UFO and called into the duty sergeant, Sergeant Harmon, who called them ratbags, and he said they were drinking, probably drinking. It was all a big joke. However, they took it seriously, so they're all close crew. They've been there for quite a while. So Sergeant Harmon called air traffic control at Tullamarine, which is not too far away, and requested a radar check, which they did, and they returned a call later on to indicate that they had a very small contact for a very small period of time. And after that contact, the object disappeared off the screen. There's an explanation for this, however. The point is there's another credible witness to that is the air traffic controller verifying an observation. So in science or doing research, it's important to realise we're trying to match up data all the time. So there's another very good point to note when you're doing research. Duty Sergeant Harmon also, at that stage, the police area had just been established. They had a Dolphin helicopter available. They called them up to see if they could come out and have a bit of a look. They got a major spotlight and an infrared equipment on board. However, we only had one of them at that stage, and guess what? It wasn't working. It was broken down. So consequently, we lost one of our possible chances of chasing the thing, but we were out of luck in that case. What happened was, to the north of Melton, there's a private field. It's a grass field called Fogarty Field. It has light aircraft available there. There's a big hangar with a balloon in there. However, it was securely locked away. It doesn't fly. It's not airworthy. However, it was still there when I looked at it, and it wouldn't fly as fast as this thing did. However, it's a major airport in the area. Most of the activity occurred around this area. What happened was the object moved towards Fogarty Field at about, it cruised up to about 150 metres. These are estimates, by the way, so they're from their testimonies. We were also able to take measurements by looking at the beams on their spotlights have a narrow beam because they're focused, and we asked them how, we went out one night and got them to put the beam out and said how big was it out in the distance, and then we just measured it. It was quite an easy process, so we're only, rough estimates of distance, so we just used a bit of detectives work. Also, they were very good. They're all trained in this, so they also do a lot of work themselves measuring items. Again, it was seen over Fogarty Field. Now, what I'd like to do here at the moment is just present you the general location of what the area of operation is. I'm going to dim the lights, so cameras be prepared, and watch technology operate here. There goes the lights, and then I'm going to sit. Now, I have to apologise for the quality of the display. It's out of focus. It's an OLED projector, but you should get the general idea of it. There will be the papers, a better production, a photostat, which will assist you. You're looking at this area here. This is obviously going to be north. This is what comes off the visual flight. He came out to confirm that they were seeing things, and he also confirmed back to the duty sergeant and put a few checks into D24 to say that there was an aircraft out there and they should have followed up, especially the air traffic control. This went on for quite a while. The time frame here is a bit, I've shrunk it a bit because there's more detail in the grouping of it. However, at about 2:40, after running around all over the place, they ended back up here at Tullanvale, where they noticed it had landed again, and they described the landing as if it, I believe you had an incident up here with the reserves where the object seemed to descend into the ground and disappear into the ground. And they don't put those in their statements, in the reports. However, they did indicate that the object just descended straight into the ground and disappeared. And when I say disappeared, the lights went out. There's no explanation for this, however, we have their testimony on regards to this. They all rushed up there and got out and did a foot search, and lo and behold, there was nothing available. So what happened was there was no UFO available at that stage. So they hunted around looking for this thing, and about 3 o'clock in the morning. They weren't tired, they tell me, that's quite late. The police sergeant who was on duty that night called them all back in to have a debriefing, which was a very good idea. It meant they consolidated their thinking, and there was a tactical plan put in case it came back. Also, at that moment, Melton's security police officer arrived. These are the commercial people that look after commercial property he arrived on the scene with a great story that he'd seen a UFO. So he got involved. So we had 4 cars running around at that stage. The Melton Police Security, from his statement, is identical, virtually identical to the original copies from everybody else. At 4:30, another crew, another police division came in. Displays, I'll just take that down. Over to where Melton is. In fact, it might be better on the other HP. Excuse me for a moment, just knock this guy out. I've got the video up here. Melton's here. Beckett's Marsh is over here. There's another airport down here. However, in this division here, there's a district. As the police force is divided in districts, so there's a divvy van in that area running around here, and there's a divvy van running around this area. And lo and behold, the divvy van from the Beckett's Marsh police station also observed a light aircraft and also got into chasing the UFO. So that was another advantage to us. We had the next group involved, so we had a very good set of observers, and they're all trained, well-trained people. They're in the area, as you can see from this map, a lot of aviation going on, and in their opinion it wasn't an aircraft, and they were just chasing after something that was quite unusual. The chase continued all over the place. I can't give it to you in this description here, but all across the Western Highway, up and down Hill and Lane, they were in like a train formation and trying to cut it off, and they went through the whole gambit of things. There was quite a bit of activity going on. However, they were never able to stop it. It seemed to evade them at all stages, and in their opinion, it was as if they were playing a game with them, and the chase continued through the night. We come up to the second part of the encounter, which is the division. There is parts we try to break an encounter into certain areas, which I call the second encounter site. And this occurred at 4:40 in the morning. The division vans were out looking for the object. They then noticed the object in an arcing process of arcing over. They noticed it this time down over this side of Melton, and it was making a track at about 100 metres towards the south, towards the army, secured army antennas. There's 2 of them up there. They're quite large. They were coming down the main highway along this area here, and when they were just about to approach the antenna, the object, they thought it was actually going to collide with the antennas there, the army antennas. However, an extraordinary event occurred, and this is where we've classified as a UFO. It approached the antennas and stopped and hovered beside them, and rather close. They thought at first it was going to be a collision that would occur. However, the actual thing approached it and stopped there for quite a while. It then made a beeline back. One more note here. It also backed up and then did a turn and then went towards the north here, where it commenced to do another one of those descending processes. It descended down and then, in their description, disappeared into the ground. Now, we can't confirm what that means. However, the description is that the lights just didn't fade out, it just seemed to be absorbed into the ground. After that occurred, there was Sergeant Harmon, who was at the desk at that stage, coordinating all the activity, was getting rather concerned about the fact this object was out there. So after the foot search occurred, he asked for another RV to occur, where they all came together to reassess the situation. He then put another call into air traffic control at Tullamarine, which is not that far away, and the main radar unit's not that far away from the area. And he asked for confirmation of a track occurring and if they could identify the aircraft. Now this is the ATC Melbourne. This terminal, again, this is a photostat, so the quality is poor. This is not my stuff, I wasn't permitted to take photographs in there. This is the terminal available. This is the control panel here. Up here you can see the same guide I've got here, the visual flight guide. which I'll be displaying to you here. There's two supervisors were on that day, and also the control tower was also, which is independent from the air traffic control. There's a control tower that looks after the air traffic in the area, and they were out the back with their binoculars observing the light. So we had another 2 witnesses available. They logged it in their air traffic control logbook. I never saw the logbook, however, from a source that I had in the system, because we all work under, we have friends and family in the system. From what I can gather from the report is that the logbook, the page that was put in there has been removed. We don't know why. There's no explanation for the page being removed out of the logbook. I believe the reason for it was that the 2 officers, the 2 control tower personnel, rather than note it was an aircraft in the vicinity, used the dreaded word UFO, so it was gone. So they whipped the thing out. Right, I've just been told a lineup. It's a big story, as you can see, so I'll just skip ahead. Towards the end, about 5:45, and I just want to rush ahead here. After a lot of chasing on, Chief Inspector Hickman arrived. He came on duty. Hickman and Harmon, the sergeant, ran out as the object was seen coming towards the police station. They noticed it over the ambulance station at that stage. And they viewed the object itself, and they made a description of when they confirmed everything, and from their drawings, that's the right around the eye. Hickman, this is some of the actual descriptions of what they actually saw that day. Obviously, that was the original process when they first saw it up here. I'll just come down here. That was the items they saw, and later on they saw these like lifeboat type of formations, blue arrow formations, with these big large lights and a red light underneath. It wasn't flashing, by the way. However, that was the general description taken off their testimony. I just want to also go to this this information here that indicates that there was quite a bit of data, and you actually can't read this, so I'll just take it as I see it now. The actual features, it didn't look like any aircraft that was available. It was able to turn its lights off, so there was some control involved. It did a lot of hovering and backing up, and it was grey colour, metallic. It produced a low-pitched humming noise, nothing like a helicopter, gyrocopter. It sounded like a wind noise. It looked like a large rubber craft. It had rounded sides, no wings and no fins. Its average velocity that we calculated was from 112 to 145 kilometres per hour. It was about 9 to 12 metres long, 6 metres wide, and about 2 metres high. It had 2 large front lights, about 40 centimetres in diameter, and they were like car lights in their description. And there was lights underneath, and somebody also indicated there was a light above it. You'll get this information out of the detailed report later on. In the end, to conclude, because I haven't got very much time, I want to just say to you that in the process, the event took something like 6 hours to go through. The temperatures were about 6 degrees, so nobody goes flying at night, and also not flying at night is a very dangerous process. So we never found, after the investigation, we never found the pilot at all. There was a photograph taken that next day, which is not related to the encounter. However, can I just show that? It's a very poor photograph. I apologise, I've probably lost it now because it's fiddling around. The main, I won't show it here. The main thing to indicate was there was a photograph taken that day. It's a very poor photograph, however, we did get a photograph taken the next day. And to finally conclude, I just want to indicate to you why the object wasn't seen. This is from the radar unit. This is the radar tower here. That's Melton, that's the hills and the cars. The radar's able to pick cars coming off the hill. There's 2 parts to the radar beam. There's what's called the main lobe, which takes in this area, and there's the side lobes. This is looking up, looking down on it. And what's happened is these side lobes are not very, very precise things, and the object was, within this bottom side of the side lobe. So that's why there wasn't a very good radar contact in regards to it. I did bring up a few other people. I got some Bureau of Defence, Bureau of Investigation reported that there was nothing found. They couldn't identify it. There was no aircraft. The Department of Defence did the same thing. There wasn't any of their aircraft. And the original director, who I interviewed with, also said it was a UFO. Now, you'll get all this detail later on because we've run out of time. Half an hour's not enough to follow this story. Now, that's a general summary of the whole thing. Thank you very much, then.
Thank you, John. Ladies and gentlemen, we've allowed about 10 minutes of question time. If anybody has any questions for each individual speaker, rather than wait till the end of this whole session, please feel free to ask questions. And if you're at the back, speak up. And if the speaker can repeat the question so everyone else can hear it. Question right there.
I'd just like to know the date.
Oh, the date. Hang on. I must admit, you know, after doing so much research, you lose your memory after a while, but the date is, let me go back, the 22nd of July 83, and it's Melton, west of Melbourne. Yes, any questions? Yes, go. In fact, I wrote a little summary that went into our journal. I was the editor at that stage of UFOs, and we put a page around about the period. However, there is a detailed report which should be a book. One day when I get around to it, I'll write a book because I have 3 arch folders worth of information, of lots of statements. However, there is an article, but I'd suggest you go to the one that's produced here because that'll give you more details. But yes, UFOs, it's in the UFOs magazine. And I can't remember the edition, but I think it's December 83 or something like that. But that I did produce some of it. Yes, go and have a look in that area. It's in there. In fact, I've pulled a lot of notes out of that because I ran out of time. Okay, yes, any more questions? Yes?
Is there a record of Earth lights in that area?
Well, in fact, there's another thing which I have been able to touch on. Yes, a couple of weeks prior to this occurring, there was what they call, it's very common, what they call an air explosion occurred over Melton and had all the police out chasing UFOs, and it rattled all the windows. And there's also what we believe Earth light, like a midnight light type process occurring. But again, that came to there was no, after the investigation of that, there was no quarry. It was at night, about midnight again. It was like a sonic boom occurred. I don't know if you know literature about it, but in Florida, they did a lot of this over the coast of Florida, sonic booms occurring. And it was so vicious that it rattled the windows, and everybody reported. Now, there's another possible explanation for this, is that it's an earthquake-bound area. There's a few faults there, and if you get a wave coming out of the ground, if it passes up out of the surface, it will create a sound or a rumbling noise or a crack as it comes out of the ground that transfers from the earth to the air. However, in this case, everybody claims, and the police officers out there claimed it was not a ground surface type of thing, it was a sonic boom over the area. So that did occur, and that was quite interesting. We investigated that, but we couldn't find anything at all.
Did you ever get to see if there was any recording of an earthquake from that?
Yes, I went to the at that stage the seismology department transferred to Canberra, so everything's in Canberra. All my research goes to Canberra these days, and everything's up there. However, I got a computer readout for the area. There was no major activity, but that doesn't mean they don't occur, because the sounds it's a strange phenomenon, but it is one of the explanations. So keep that in mind. It's another possibility. We can't rule that out. However, the only thing that we find interesting about the case was that the sound was above the town, not normally occur where things start to shake. They all said it occurred above the area, and that occurred prior to the encounter itself, so that's a very important thing. Also, the military Air Force will not fly F-111s over the area, and if you ever heard a sonic boom go off, which I have, it breaks windows, take it from me, and Melbourne's would knock Melton to death, you know what I mean? So it wasn't an aircraft, well, they denied it anyway, so it wasn't an aircraft at the stage. Any other questions? Yes?
How many different types of UFOs are you aware of? Daylight sightings?
Wow, goodness, they come in all shapes and sizes. In fact, this is the problem we suffer from when you talk to skeptics or people in the science field, is they come in all shapes and sizes. But the general shape, and I'm going to, hang on, display, and I'll put the lights down. There we go. Not find my writing. There's the basic circle shape, which we normally get, which is the disc shape with the dome on the side. And then you get what we call the we call this cigar shape. Now, For years we always thought these two were different, but in fact if you have a look at a circle on the side, it becomes a cigar shape. So what we're probably viewing most of the time is an object that's in different modes of locations in the sky. So you can get many shapes, but these are the two basic shapes that I deal with. However, when you look at the literature available, they have things hanging off them, so in the long run the data is quite varied, and in fact my computer is full of different types of shapes, and in fact that's one of the things we do when we get a report in and we've got somebody with a drawing. We do a computer run on the computer to see if we can match it up, and at this stage we never had a full match. It's always, apart from the Kelly case, which we'll talk about tomorrow, usually there's some variation in some sense. But that's still good, because if in a lot of cases everyone you would draw different. If you saw an accident, you'd produce a different drawing anyway. These are the two main cases. This type of dome, circle with a dome, or this type of cigar shape, probably familiar, and sometimes you have the dome on the top like that. But they're the main two ones available. One question? Yes.
Do you have any theories or explanations why it disappeared when you got to the ground?
Oh, good question. I went into that in some detail because we're dealing in a world where you need solid evidence. We live in a kind of, I don't want to get into the ramifications of that, but yes, I went into some detail. We went to the locations, I identified the two sergeants, constables to identify the area. We crossed the area with a Geiger count, that's all we had at that stage, just going back quite a while. There was no radiation. However, there was an area in the one up at Toowoomba, up the north, where they claimed it occurred, where it was a strange thing. There was the grass was disturbed in some sense, but all the cow droppings in the area where they claimed it went in, it looked like somebody had gone through and kicked them. They're all broken all over the place. Outside that area, they were all still in their normal hard state. But in the area, that was the only thing we found was unusual. But at that stage, technology hadn't caught up with us. With magnetometers we got available and infrared and all this stuff, we would have done a lot more research. But yes, we did see a disturbance, but there's no explanation at all. It just seemed to... And so there is other records of that type of thing occurring.
That's your question?
Yes.
Yes.
With regard to that question, have you ever had, this lady who just asked that question,
Yes.
have you ever had people say that UFOs dematerialise?
Yes, in fact, I think that's my way of looking at it. I think it's a quantum physics problem, and what happens is that you just vaporise and then reform yourself. In fact, Star Trek they're probably right on the right track in a lot of ways, so I think that's the way to go. It's got to be something like that, whereas it just disappears in the... In fact, we've got some photos, the occurred when Frederick Valence went missing, where something appeared and they disappeared. That gives the indication why a lot of reports, you'll see them and suddenly they'll blink out. In fact, that's what happened with my case that I got involved with when I started this business 20 years ago. It just disappeared. I knew it was there, and within a blink it was gone. And I think it's to do with that dimensional problem. And quantum physics to stay has that ability, and string theory makes that possible. There's other dimensions available. So rather than something physical like a jumbo jet crashing or falling on the ground, it seems to just... But don't tell me how it works. If I did, I'd make $1 million now. Your bosses are going to give you...
John, I'd like to say that one of our discussion papers tries to deal with just this question, how a time shift could produce invisibility. So if you just hold that for a while, we might pick that up again.
It's one of the many questions that are asked. Okay, I better leave. Thank you very much.
Sort of like the Klingon cloaking the guy.
John, Thank you, John.